It wasn't supposed to end like this. I didn't want to. But it's too late now. Hear me out. And don't make the same mistakes I did. My name is Ariana Smith. I'm 17. And I come from a very wealthy family. My parents worked very hard to make their dreams come true. Or most of them. They couldn't have children. Then who am I, you ask? I was taken as a baby from an orphanage, surrounded by affection and care. My parents never hid the fact from me that I was not their own daughter. And everyone knows that, even Matt. That's my boyfriend. We've been together for a year now, and we're going to go to the same university together after graduation, so we won't break up. One day at recess, a girl ran up to me like two peas in a pod, and from that day, my life changed. I'll tell you why in a minute. But now, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so you don't miss any new stories. Emma is how she introduced herself, and we were a lot alike. She was very loud, and she wouldn't stop talking. She said she saw a picture of me on the internet one day, and she showed it to my parents. And they admitted that Emma has a twin sister. That is me. But I left in an orphanage as a baby because they couldn't financially cope with raising two daughters. Lucky you, sister. You were adopted by such rich people. Compared to you, I live in a slum. Emma gestured with her hands. I wanted to get to know her better. So I invited Emma home for dinner. Emma whistled loudly when she saw my mansion, and she didn't hesitate to go inside. She threw herself around my mother's neck, then my father's, like they'd known each other for 1,000 years. It was obvious that Emma had a bad upbringing. She kept her mouth shut all through dinner. Emma was interested in everything, how many servants we had at home. And then Matt came to pick me up in the evening. He hugged me and kissed me gently. And I noticed how Emma turned pale and clenched her teeth when she saw us. I was embarrassed. So I invited Emma to come with us to the new nightclub. Oh, she acted awful. She was laughing out loud and making dirty jokes, which ruined the mood of me and Matt. And then she asked me to spend the night, saying it was too late and it was a long drive home. I said yes, but I decided to have a serious talk with Emma the next day about her behavior. In the morning, my mother reprimanded me. Daughter, I understand that Emma is your sister, and you want to get to know her. But she's being very defiant. She's already been rude to the servants, bossing them around. When I saw Emma, I was shocked. She let her hair down, put on my robe, and now we were like two peas in a pod. Do your parents know where you are, Emma? I decided to start from afar. They're used to me not sleeping at home, sister. And you have such a huge mansion. I would stay here. That girl has some nerve. I was getting all hot and bothered by a text message on my phone, and I was ready to give her a good going over. It was Matt. He sent me a picture. It showed 2 tickets to Paris, an evening flight, and the caption, "Let's fly to Paris for a few days, relax a little." I sent him a kiss in return and jumped for joy. Fly out in a couple of hours. Need to get things together and clean up. While I was running from the closet to the suitcase and back, dropping off things for the trip, the house got quiet. My parents had left for work, and the servants, since it was Friday, had a shortened workday. I was running myself a hot bubble bath when suddenly Emma appeared on the doorstep. I didn't say anything about going to Paris, but I had to explain the packed suitcase in my room. I'm going on a business trip with my dad. He's opening a new branch, and he wants to show me around. Emma studied me with a look. Then she nodded slowly. Well then, I'll be going home. Will you call me when you get back? Of course I will. And I heard the sound of footsteps moving away. Whew, I'm out. But not 2 minutes later, Emma walked back into the bathroom and handed me a glass of orange juice. I grabbed the glass, and then I grabbed it and went back to the bathroom. I grabbed the glass and drank it in a gulp. The juice was so sweet. I suddenly felt terribly tired. My eyes were leaden. Everything was a blur, and someone was tugging on my shoulder. Mama, I'm late, Mom! I jumped up. The cab? Matt? Didn't he call? My mom took a step back, staring at me in surprise. Ariana, is that you? Who else would it be, Mom? Half an hour ago, I thought for sure you'd gotten in a cab and rushed to the airport. What? It was all a blur from then on. Mom and I were rushing to the airport. Check-in was over 10 minutes ago. I didn't make it. Through my tears, I saw the plane take off. I was supposed to be on that plane. but it was Emma instead. With Matt, I was so bitter. She must have read the message on my phone and figured it out. We had the same fingerprints, so she had no problem unlocking it. There was no connection. Now 10 hours on the plane, Matt would be hugging and kissing Emma. Thinking it was me, I sank to the floor and cried bitterly. My mom could barely talk me into going home. I was up all night. I paced the room. It was all my fault. I trusted that imposter, and she used me. She put sleeping pills in my juice so she could fly away from me. And this morning, I got a message from Matt on Instagram. I knew right away that Emma was flying instead of you. I exposed her on that plane, and she started getting hysterical. I'm on the first flight back. I miss you. It was like a stone had been lifted from his soul. He knew. He felt. It wasn't me. Everything's gonna be all right now, and I never want to see that girl again. It's a good thing we were separated when we were kids. She and I don't look anything alike, even though we're twins. Do you have a twin brother or sister? Do you have a good relationship? Write to me. I'm very interested. Hi all, I'm Avi, and I'm in love. Yes, I know everyone falls in love at 14, but I didn't just fall in love. I had a crush on my best friend's boyfriend. I don't know what to do, so I decided to tell my story to you. Maybe you can help. I've always had a hard time with building friendships. I don't really trust people, and I'm not very good at making new friends. In junior high school, I didn't really have girlfriends. But in middle school, a new girl, Kira, came to our class, and somehow we started communicating right away. Probably it was because it was hard for her too. New school and people. And I could see that she wasn't comfortable. Neither was I. One day, we bumped into each other in the toilet, and from that day on, we became friends. Kira told me that her parents got divorced and she and her mom moved to the neighborhood. Her mom was working late, and we used to hang out at Kira's place. We did homework together, watched TV, and liked to watch the neighbors. Dad gave Kira a telescope, and it was so interesting to sit by the window and see what people across the street were doing. And one day, we saw something that turned our lives upside down. I wish we hadn't looked through that spyglass that day. I'll tell you what happened next in a minute. But for now, please subscribe to this channel and click on the bell. There are many more interesting stories to come. So that day, while watching the neighbors, we saw a black Jeep pull up to the house across the street first, followed by a large van. New residents were coming in. They started unloading boxes and furniture from the van. And out of the Jeep jumped out a guy who was the same age as Kira and me, and started looking around. Suddenly, he was striding resolutely toward Kira's house. Avi, he's coming this way. What to do? Kira fidgeted. I was nervous too, but it didn't take long before there was a knock on the door. Liam was the guy's name. He and his family moved here because his dad got transferred for work. Liam will be going to our school, but he's 1 grade older. This information the guy gave us in a couple of seconds as soon as Kira and I opened the front door. You know, there are some people who are quick to make friendships. They're usually in a good mood, and they're always fun to be with. Liam was like that. And the 3 of us became friends. But after a couple of days, I started noticing that Liam was spending more and more time at Kira's house. He needed to screw in a shelf and didn't have the right screwdriver. Then, he forgot the key to the house, and his parents were not home. He constantly found excuses to come visit her. I stopped coming to visit Kira. I felt superfluous. And at school, Kira talked about Liam all the time. How cool he was, and funny, and smart. I couldn't stand it anymore and grumbled. Kira, do you have a crush on him? My friend blushed and lowered her eyes. It all became clear to me. After that, I distanced myself from Kira. We used to have our own little world. Secrets, we shared our dreams, we shared everything. And now Kira chose Liam over me, and I shut myself away. One evening, walking around, I accidentally wandered into a movie theater. It was the week of the author of films, and I really love unusual movies. So I did not hesitate to buy a ticket and sat in an almost empty room. The lights were turned off, the film started, and suddenly someone pushed me with his elbows and leaned over me, whispered in my ear, "Please, forgive me." It was like I was struck by lightning. The scent, so familiar. "Liam?" I exclaimed. And it was really him. Liam was as surprised as I was. It turned out that Kira was sick and couldn't go out to the movies. Liam is also a fan of amateur movies, and today was the last day to get to watch that movie. So here he is. Liam sat down next to me, and we started watching the movie. We whispered with him the whole session, discussing the scenes. Liam was a very interesting person to talk to and an avid moviegoer. I was amazed. After the movie, he walked me home, and when we parted, he gently squeezed my hand, saying we had a great time. And he smiled, and something clicked inside. And I looked at Liam with different eyes. Without Kira, he was more relaxed and attractive at the same time. To me, I'd spent the whole night replaying our meeting, the conversation at the movie theater in my head. So his fun and jokes were for Kira? To impress her? And the truth is, Liam is very much like me. And I could see that he was interested in me too. I'd like to get to know this guy better. But Kira, she's in love with him. And she's my best friend. But I'm entitled to happiness too. Am I any worse than Kira? But would I sacrifice my friendship for a guy? What would you do? Write to me. I really need your support right now.